All right, February is in the books, locking it up. Today's the last day of the month, finishing in the green, $15,000 of profit. This was impressive. In fact, I was up about $18,000 at my peak, and I did it in about 30 minutes. Now, I kept trading. It's about 11 a.m. now. I kept trading through the morning, ended up giving back a little bit of profit off the top. So hit a high of 18,000, finishing right now $15,930.28. That's a great way to finish the month. Yesterday, at one point, I was down $7,500. Finished the day up $3,000. So I had a $10,000 swing from my low to my high. This is a $25,000 swing from my low of yesterday to my high of today. That's a big swing. $25,000, that makes a huge difference on the month. So, this was a really solid month. I'll export my metrics from today, and then probably tomorrow I'll review my trades for the month of February. So we'll look at February as a whole, but it was a solid month. It was the best month I'd had in quite a while. So that was great to see. And hey, it's always nice to finish the month with a nice big green day. Unexpected, but it happened. So let's break it down. First trade of the day, SIDU. SIDU. Now, this morning, unlike yesterday, this morning I got up early. Now, my son came in and woke me up. It was like 5:45, so it was pretty early. But one of the first things I did, I was like, well, let me check the scans and see how things look. And I checked the scans and saw we had SCTL on the top of the scanners, but that was a buyout. So the company's been bought out. It's trading sideways. This is what it looks like when a company's been bought out. They just trade sideways. So I knew that wasn't going to be in play. ENVB was up, but it's cheaper. And although it's a big percentage move, 200%, I don't typically do super well on these cheaper stocks. It's not my favorite. So I wasn't that excited about that. VLCN, I can't remember if I saw that one on the scans, but I really didn't see anything that looked that great. In any case, I got over here at a little after 7 a.m., was sitting down watching the scans, and the first stock I traded was SIDU. SIDU was on our gap scanner, and at the time that I traded it, it was up around 20% on the day. Pre-market, it had squeezed up here to a high of $8. Then by 6:30, it was back at $5.50. But coming into 7, it started squeezing up again. So as I sat down and was watching it in this area, basically I was like, well, if this can hold VWAP, I'm interested. That's what I'm looking for. Can it hold VWAP? So it was holding VWAP, and right here, as it started to break, there was a little bit of a double top at about, 675, 677. So as it broke through 80, I was like, okay, it's time to take a starter. So I took my starters, it broke this level, and I kept adding as it moved higher. Now that worked really well on, that generally works really well. In this case, we hit a high of 762, and then it came all the way back down. Now, it fortunately did bounce back up to 749, but it wasn't as good of a trade as I would have liked. However, I took 9,000 shares. So I was able to make about 30, 35, 40 cents a share and locked up $3,600, which is not that bad. So it's a good trade. Had a nice win there, and that broke the ice. Now, my initial starter was 3,000 shares. And then I was adding the position as it went higher. So I scaled into 9,000. I didn't just start with 9. I scaled in and then scaled out with profit. So that was SIDU. Now, as the day went on, SIDU kind of pulled back. It tried to come back up again, didn't trade it there. Tried again, didn't trade it there. Tried again at the open, squeezing up to 750. I actually did try this trade, and I lost about 300 on it. And then it came back up again, and I made back the 300 I lost. So not really that clean, to be honest. It's actually trying to curl up again now. The thing I like about it is that the daily chart has a lot of room up to the 200 moving average, which is at 30. It has a history of making big moves. It did a reverse split back here in December. Now, it already did a reverse split squeeze, but nonetheless, did the reverse split and then moves higher. So, this is all, some good price action in the past. So I was like, all right, this is a stock that I can get focused on. And anyways, the float's also quite low, so that was good. So it broke the ice with some trades on Saidu, and then we had NRBO. NRBO I made $13,000 on, and I actually left some money on the table. It's kind of crazy. So the stock at 8 a.m., right at 8 a.m., it has news. And the news was receives first site IRB approval for its phase 1 clinical trial evaluating DA 1726 for the treatment of obesity. Now, if you recall, in the last couple days, VANI, that was a weight loss medication. VK, and this one went up 500%. VKTX, that was weight loss as well. And this one went up a couple 100%. It's still hanging out just under $100. So when I saw NRBO first pop up on the scan, I didn't know what the news was. And so I took a starter at $6.50. I just bought 1,000 shares. I was like, let's just, let's see about this. We'll look at the 10-second chart so you can kind of better see my entry. So $0.50 whole dollar entry, got in at 650. You'll see here, it initially popped up, then it pulled back. And then as it's pulling away, I got in at 650. Now, because it was extended and I was buying at the $0.50 whole dollar, I only took 1,000 shares. And then it pops up to 7 and 750. It hits a high of 774. It pulls back. And on this dip here, I added, let's see. Let me pull up my orders. So I added at 713. And then I added at 739 and 751 as it started to curl back up right here. And I added 6,000 shares as it started to push through the high here of 8 and 850. It breaks 850. It does a micro pullback here, and I added again as it squeezed over 925, and it hit a high of $9.80. At this point, I was like, my target was about 1144, the 200 moving average. So we didn't get all the way up to there. It pulled back a little bit, it bounced back up, and I was unwinding the position as it was sort of going sideways. I was like, all right, well, I guess it's not going to keep going, but in any case, for my initial entry at 650 and then adding heavy at 750 and 8, I got over $1 a share, almost $2 a share. This was a really solid move. The only thing that was a bummer is that it broke down. Now, after the initial move, I was sort of like, okay, let's see what this is going to do. And as I looked at the headline, I was like, all right, well, receives first site approval. So it's just site approval. Some of the other companies were positive clinical trial results, things like that. That's a stronger catalyst for sure. Nonetheless, I'm a little surprised. How much is it up right now? Let's see. NRBO. It's only up 5%. I'm kind of surprised it's only up 5%, but in any case, this is the market we're in. So this didn't hold up super well. All right, so that was a little disappointing to see. And then we had RVSN. RVSN I lost $800 on, and that was kind of similar. It squeezed up, and then it came all the way back down. Now, I actually made about $800 on the move up, and then I lost $1,600 trying to buy the dip, and it just sold. The dip didn't hold. So, at that point I was like, okay, now I've hit my high of 18,000. I gave back 1,600 off the top on RVSN. And then I had a trade on COCH, which was a $274 loser. Not a big deal, but I got in as it popped up here, but I got stopped out as it dropped back down. I knew that was right at the 200, and it was a little bit of a risky trade. That's why I took smaller size, lost 300, not the end of the world. So overall, $15,930 is great. It's a little disappointing that none of the stocks are still really holding up in a meaningful way. Saidu is the only one that is, but it's only up 38%. ENVB, that one is still holding up, but I'm just not that interested in it. VLCN, again, it's also holding up, but I don't know. So we had better momentum yesterday, but I actually traded better today. And yesterday I was a little behind the ball. I came in late, didn't trade super well. Anyways, Saidu, still has a nice daily chart. Maybe this will be the one that gives, some late morning momentum. If it could break through 80 here. The only challenge with buying it up at 80, if we look at the level 2, you could see that for a moment there were a bunch of sellers at about 78, 79. So it just has this history of topping tails, right? That's where buying these extensions starts to feel like playing with fire. But at the same time, if it can hold these levels, then you could see a move higher. So I don't know. In any case, it's important to know when to walk away, take your profit off the table, and not overstay your welcome. So I'm grateful to be green. It's a great way to finish what's been a really strong month. And for those that are still trading, hopefully you get a little late morning, early afternoon momentum. But as always, manage your risk, trade cautiously, and I'll see you back here first thing tomorrow morning. All right, I'll see you guys in the morning.